Hey, what's up? Hey, today I wanted to talk about a trip I took. I went to a conference last week and I was invited to go down with a bunch of agents from my company. And it was a smaller, intimate conference, which was awesome. This was a really cool conference. There were about 60 agents or so, and that was it. They brought in a bunch of sponsors. There were probably 20-ish sponsors down there, and then they had some speakers and some a little bit of leadership down there, and threw us all together for 1.5 days, and it was great. Everyone was accessible, everyone was friendly. I want to thank Cole and Josiah for putting that together. Great concept, really high level stuff, and the agents that were there were, there's some Mount Rushmore agents that were there, and it's interesting to hear them speak because they have very different agencies than I do. Like, I have a good agency, right? I've got 4,000 plus policies, and I got a couple employees that are in a very efficient, type of business. You know this, and I built a really nice agency. It looks very different than some of the agencies from the agents that spoke, and it's fun to listen to what they've done. There was an agent there who been in business just as long as me, but he has a $55 million book of business. He has 30 people working for him. And that is incredible. And it's easy to sit and listen to these guys and for me to be like, what am I doing wrong? Right? I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, you got to punch your way through these thoughts for starters. Okay. There's nothing wrong with running a business like the way that I run my business. And we actually had conversations. I went to a couple of dinners with some really good people, and everyone has a choice to make in this kind of industry if you're going to be successful, right? It depends on how you define success. Okay. If you want to be a mogul in the industry and that's what success looks like to you, by all means, chase it. Success to me is having a balanced life, spending time with my family, not working Fridays, taking a trip or two here or there, supporting my kids through high school and sports, and not having to worry about paying bills. You know what I mean? So, like, that's successful to me. So it's interesting. You have to define that for yourself. It's really important. But I learned some other things too. I talked to the guys that put this together, and I kind of got one of the evenings. I was like, hey man, you invited all these people down. What is the common thread that runs through all of these people who are really, really doing well? And he said two things, Matt. One, systems. And I think you and I both know that, but their systems they're just different, or they're more defined. Okay. There's one agent who has a system for onboarding producers, and he trains them for a whole month, and he'll bring in like 4 or 5 at a time, and he'll train them for an entire month. And someone beat me to the question, because I raised my hand, and then someone behind me asked, because I wanted to know, what are you doing for 160 hours of training? That's how many business hours are in a month, 168 hours. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, and he didn't hesitate. He's like, oh, I got a whole curriculum. And he said, this is what we do for the first week. Second week, we do this. Third week, we're doing role playing. Fourth week, they're in the incubator and they're starting to make calls. They got someone next to them, monitoring, making sure they're saying, it's really intense. And I thought that was great. I do not have that luxury. Okay. I don't have $20,000 to pay 5 people that aren't going to produce for me that month. I don't have that. A lot of these folks a lot of them are doing internet leads too, like big internet leads, like 10, 20, 30. One of them spending $100,000 a month on internet leads. And you know how I feel about internet leads. It's not the way I've chosen to grow my business. Seeing that what these guys are doing with internet leads is impressive, right? It's a totally different way to grow a business. but they're doing it, and they're doing it in a very successful way. Again, it's not anything that I would do. It's not anything you're going to learn from me, and it's not the type of work that I want to do or that I would even want to pay anybody to do. Okay. The other thing he said was, he said their teams love their agent and their agent loves their teams. And there is a real like familial connection with most. You're going to have a few outliers where it's not working out and stuff like that. But they're going to have employees that skip to work because they're killing it and they're crushing it. And they've built such a great culture in their agency that, they attract talent, and they have the ability to pay a little bit more too. You get what you pay for when it comes to this kind of stuff. But that's something that I've always wanted to do as well, is build culture. You can build culture with 3 people. I've done it. Okay. Culture does not have to be defined by the size of your group. Those are 2 of the main takeaways that I got, was like really have your systems in place, and also, make sure that you're taking care of your people. All right. Training is really important too. I've talked about training quite a bit on this, how important it is. I always say, I don't have the money to train people for a month before we get started. I was just talking to an agent this morning on a coaching call, and he has 2 new producers. And I told him, I'm like, today's your first day, right? Start filling your pipeline, start finding people who want to get a quote, because that's what we're here to do. You can train on the fly. For a lot of us, CSRs and producers need to hit the ground running. Okay. They have to come on. They really need your focus and attention as an agency owner as well, because they don't know what they're doing yet. But I usually have like a week probably of training, but while I'm training, they're working as well. Okay. When I'm training new producers, I'm teaching product, depending on what they bring to the table. If they've come from the industry, that's great. They can really hit the ground running. But if they've come from like banking or from outside the industry, you've got to teach product, sales, and system, right? I always teach what they're going to be doing most, right? How do you do a quote? How do you get a prospect? And then, that's mine. I usually train for about a week, but at the same time, I'm urging them to try and start filling their pipeline, because that's how we get paid, and that's why they're here, right? Let's go. So it was really interesting to hear these great agents and how they've built these businesses. And another thing that some agents do at a high level is they flip agencies. They'll find an agency that is for sale. They'll buy it for, say, $1 million or something like, let's say it's $1 million book or business or something like that. They buy it for $100K or something like that. They grow it to 200 or to 2 million, and they tighten everything up, and then they sell it for a higher multiplier, and they're flipping agencies. I'd never even heard of that before. You can keep that book separate from the rest of your policies, so you can monitor that. And I thought that was really interesting. There's some really smart people in the room that talk about how it's smarter to actually finance that than to pay in cash. And so there are really smart people out there that are doing some really cool things. And if you have your eyes and ears open, you can find them and learn from them. Okay. I do have a resource for you. If you want to send me a text at 208-213-8809 and just send me the word free, I'll connect you with other people that are doing really cool things. I'll send you a resource that's got a ton of stuff on it. I'll do that. So anyway, thanks again to Cole and Josiah for putting that together. It was incredible. I really appreciated being a part of it, meeting some new people, and just the energy in the room was really good too. The other thing that happened down there is nobody complained about anything. Okay, no one's complaining about the state of the industry. No one's complaining about commissions. No one's complaining about anything. They just put their head down and they do the work. They survive through all this stuff. And it was nice to have that energy, because there's a lot of negativity out there. But to be around people that were excited and moving forward and doing great things, I'd encourage you to surround yourself with people like that. Okay. All right. My name's Matt. This is Agency Launch. You can find me all over the place. I am on LinkedIn. I am on Threads and Instagram at Dietz Agency. And send me a text, 208-213-8809. Send me the word free. I'll hook you up. Thanks for listening. Keep up the good work.